Hello everyone, good morning. Today we will be discussing about one of the most important topic and trending topic in the market today, what is Copilot. So what is Copilot? A Copilot is a generative AI assistant which has been launched by Microsoft in the recent times. It is basically based on the concept of large language models with a combination of few other machine learning concepts like natural language processing. So, what exactly does a copilot does for us? To tell it to you in one word, guys, it will be able to have a conversation with you like a normal human being is having. You can query the copilot, it will be able to give you the responses. In technical terms, we call the query a prompt. So you can prompt the copilot with your queries and it will be able to generate you a reasoning response. So why am I saying it as a reasoning response? One question which you can ask me immediately is, what is the difference between Google and a copilot? What is the difference between a search engine and a large language model? So if I query Google, it will also be able to give me some answers, isn't it? And if I'm querying a large language model like ChatGPT or a copilot, it will also give me some answers. So what marks the difference between these two is important. So guys, a search engine like Google is something which will not add any sentiment or a reasoning. It will give you a prompt. It will basically search for an answer based on your keywords and it will generate as many responses as possible which will match your keyword. And that is a very reason you will be able to see various links coming in once you search something in Google, because it follows a keyword search. Okay. And what does a large language model in contrast do? When you query or prompt this large language model like a copilot or a chat gpt, it will try to understand the emotion, it will try to understand your intent using the sentiment analysis. You can very well prompt your query in natural language, and these large language models equip the ability of natural language processing, wherein it will be able to actually understand what you're conversing for, what are you asking for. So we call these as reasoning engines. So Google, all of these will come under search engines because they follow the keyword identifier search and will give you as many prompts as possible, whereas large language models are called reasoning engines because they try to understand your intent and give the most suitable logical answer for your prompt. Well, what all can a copilot do is the next question. So, what all can it do? It can do almost everything. May it be, if you ask me, Lalsa, can it write an email for me? Yes, it can write an email for you. If you ask me, I need some help with my presentation. Yes, Copilot can help you with that as well. Let us quickly see some examples. And before deep diving into examples, I will show you where to locate Copilot on your system. Plus, how do you prompt it and how does the user interface of the Copilot basically looks like. So as you see here, guys, I'm using my Edge browser, and in my Edge browser to the top right, you will be able to locate your Copilot assistant. So the shortcut key for this is Control and Shift with a dot, and it will land you to the Copilot user interface. And this is how your Copilot user interface looks like. We will first understand what are the components of this user interface, post which we will see some examples. So at the first, I have two options. One is chat and one is compose. So when I want to talk to a chatbot like a copilot, when I want to build a conversation, when I want it to answer me with something, it is basically a chat. Okay. And what is a compose? If I quickly scroll to the compose option, assume that I want to write a blog or I want to write a LinkedIn post, or for that matter, I just want to write a simple email to my manager describing something or requesting something. It will help me compose something. I will give my context here on what I want the help for, and I can also choose how the tone of the response should be. So for this, let us take an example that I want to write an email to my manager requesting for a day off. I can also set the tone, which means I can ask the Copilot to write it to me in a very professional way, or I could ask it to be casual, just write it casually. Likewise, we have various different tones for various contexts we are asking the Copilot's help for. And also, I can tell if you come to the next option, it says format, which means you can also tell the Copilot whether it has to be a paragraph, whether it has to be an email, or whether you just need the ideas like bullet points for your presentations or blogs, whatever. You will be able to configure any of your requests and you can ask the Copilot to help you or assist you with. Now, if I still scroll down, one more beautiful option here is you got to choose the length of the content you want the Copilot for. Like say, suppose I want to write an email and I can ask the Copilot to just write me a short email or a medium email or a long email. Similarly, if I want to say, suppose write a blog on LinkedIn about the generative AI tools and technologies in the market today, I can ask Copilot to do that for me, and I can also ask it to make it short or medium or long based on my requirement. So to quickly reiterate whatever we have discussed, the first option we saw was chat, wherein if I just come here and say, hi, how are you? It will respond. I'm establishing a conversation, which is basically a chat with the Copilot. That is the essence of chat option in the user interface you're seeing. And in the compose, you will be able to compose something like emails or blogs with the help of Copilot with some predefined conditions like the tone or the format or the length, as you see. Now, let us explore the chat option. Say, suppose I just want to have a very random conversation with my Copilot. I will say, hi, how are you? And I hit on enter. Once you hit on enter, you will be able to see the response which Copilot generates for you for a very casual conversation like, hi, how are you? So it is replying to me telling, I'm doing well, thank you. How can I assist you today? So if you see the prompts here, answer from this page instead. I have a question about gardening. Tell me something interesting. What's the weather like today? So either you can build a conversation based on what you have in your mind, or it will also give you some prompts where you can choose it from. So say suppose I hit on tell me something interesting. So there's a lot of content which is being generated. Let us see what it is. So when I asked it to tell me something interesting, certainly here's a fascinating mathematical tidbit. Did you know that the number 1729 is known as Hardy Ramanujan number? Let me explain why. So this is a out of box concept for me. I didn't have it in my mind, nor did I intend to ask something like this. So when you ask it to say something interesting, these kind of similar responses, not exactly this, but these kind of similar responses might be generated with the help of Copilot. Now, here, if you like the response, you can hit on like. If you do not like the response, you can hit on dislike as well. And if you would want to copy something like this and utilize it somewhere else, you can copy it. And you could download the response as well by clicking on the export option here. If you hit on read it loud, it will read it out loud for you. And one important thing you have to notice is you see 2 out of 30, 1 out of, if you just scroll up to our previous conversation, it says 1 out of 30, it says 2 out of 30. What is this out of 30? So basically, guys, this Copilot will have the permissions which your organization or your Microsoft account is having. It will not remember any of your history, the conversations which you're having. It will not remember anything, but from these 30 responses which it is generating on some topic, it will remember only that. Meaning, in the context which it has generated, say suppose I want to ask the Copilot, give me the number from the above context. which means we are referring to something here, the above context, and this conversation should be saved somewhere for it to refer to the previous context, isn't it? So this will be saved until you generate 30 questions to a maximum limit. Post 30 queries on this context, it will be out of the Copilot's memory and you cannot query it further. So if I hit on, give me the number from the above context, let us see what it prompts. I can hit on stop responding because I do not want to see everything again. But you see the number from the context is 1729, which means it took a reference from this. And that means it has saved it somewhere. It will be able to save it till 30 conversations on the same topic. Okay, let me quickly reiterate this again for a better understanding. So I came to Copilot, I had hit on my chat option. I have asked the Copilot how it is, and it has asked me what I am interested in. And then I have asked it to tell something interesting, for which it has told me some interesting concept about Hardy Ramanujam number and why is it called so, with a very brief explanation. Also, I wanted to again query something on the previous conversation. So I asked the Copilot to tell me what is the number from the above context, and it had prompted me on the same response. So 1 out of 30, 2 out of 30 means that your conversation will be saved only till the 30 maximum attempts, and post which a fresh chart will be established automatically. So now, what if you would want to establish a fresh chart? I come here, I hit on something called new topic. Once I hit on new topic, and this is my favorite portion, guys, it will prompt you with some by default possibilities or prompts which might help you. Now you see, I have kept the introduction to Hadoop page open, and assume that I have a meeting where I got to talk to someone about what Hadoop is. I want to propose my client on what Hadoop is, to implement Hadoop, but I have zero idea on the topic I have to present. Instead of me using a search engine like Google to read everything, which will prompt me everything, I can ask my Copilot to generate my page summary, which means the summary of this entire page will be generated for me so that I can read it much better and faster. Let us quickly see what it does. I hit on generate page summary. So we see it says, certainly, here's a summary of the key points from the current page. It is giving me a Hadoop overview, what it is, historical background of it, and it is also giving me the HDFS, which is the Hadoop distributed file system, the advantages and disadvantages of Hadoop. This is brilliant, isn't it? Especially when I have no time but I still want to talk on something in a meeting or for any official purpose. This serves to be the most best example. And it will also tell me what is the reference from which it drew this context. Okay. So that is all for today. Let us explore what is about compose in the next videos. Thank you.